Can't hear anybody.
We hear you.
Okay.
And now I can say hello too.
Hi, Ethel. That was you, Joyce? Who said I couldn't hear? Joyce, wave it. If you can hear me, Joyce, do it. Oh, I think she said she couldn't hear.
I can hear now. I can hear now. Just had to turn my volume up. Hey. You know, the simple things you forget to do sometimes.
All right, ladies. It's 7:01. We're going to get started. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am going to, did you start the recording? Oh, thank you, Ms. Donna. So, ladies, thank you. Like, this is my favorite time of every month. The third Monday of the month. It's a time for us to come together and share information, share knowledge, spotlight a sister who is in this wonderful agricultural industry, enterprising field. Even if you're not in this field, you want to be on this call, I promise you're going to learn something. As we all know, farming is a business, and it's a business that can be very profitable, and we have to treat it as such, okay? And I'm glad that Vivian said that she and her siblings have come together so they can further and honor their parents. Be, great stewards of the land, because that's our responsibility, is to be good stewards over the land. And once we do that, the land will feed us and provide us all that we need, So again, welcome, ladies. Welcome to the call. Welcome to our ninth call this year, September 18th. We have the wonderful Miss Keisha, who is with the South Carolina Farm Stewardship Association. Keisha is on fire, doing a lot across the state, making sure that our food is safe, because we want our food supply to be safe. Mm-hmm. And she's working with farmers to do that. It's extremely important that our food is safe. And again, anytime I call her and put her with a farmer, she is on it. She gets with them quickly. And so, Keisha, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming on tonight and sharing information about Carolina Farm Stewardship and food safety. Well, more food safety, but again, she works for Carolina Farm Stewardship. And again, y'all, we cannot stress the importance of having safe food. So each and every call, I like to just go over our mission. Pharmacist's mission is to educate, inspire, and train 10,000, I'm going to say it again, 10,000 Black women to grow food. And I stress that I want them, when you think of growing food and farm, you think of all these acres and overwhelm. Pharmacists, we want you to grow in your own space. You can grow in your backyard and a pot, something small. We want you to get started. Let's say we had 10,000 pots and everybody just grew one thing. Guess what? We still have a new food system. We still have a food system. And so that's the goal. Long when I'm gone, I want this to be even millions of sisters, creating this food system and sharing, again, loving the land, appreciating the land, being good stewards of the land, and growing something and exchanging, selling, creating another commerce, just creating another food system. Because again, Keisha's helping to get the food supply safe. She's a part of that. But we know when we grow our own, it's going to be safe. And we know we're not going to spray certain chemicals on it because we got to ingest it. So that's our mission. Our vision is to work collectively as sisters, women, promote health and wellness through nature, and stop saying it's too hot outside. I ain't going out there in that sun. Sun is life. We need sun. Yes. Yeah, don't go out there when it's 200 degrees in the middle of the day. But in the evening time like this, like I can sit outside now and still see the sun and feel the sun. We need sun. We need sunlight. It's the best form of vitamin D. And to initiate economic development. Earlier, I had in my glass, I had my hibiscus. Sometimes I don't drink it because people think I'm drinking wine because it's the same color as red wine. But, as I was pouring it today, I was like, this is medicine. And, I used to have a problem with saying that, but it is. It helps all things dealing with the blood. My daughter and my nieces, when they're having these heavy menstrual cycles and just feeling really, really terrible, I give them some medicine, hibiscus. High blood pressure, it cleanses the blood, it helps it to flow. That's natural medicine. So before COVID, I did what was called a value added. I took the hibiscus and I made it a tea. I still make it pretty much for myself and my family, but I don't make it on a commercial level anymore, but it used to be on a commercial level. And we can do those things called value added. Joyce Winkler's on here. They have a value added product, which is Chow Chow. And Joyce has presented for us. Joyce, you can put, if you can, put in the chat. They want to buy some Chow Chow, My Bell's Chow Chow. And if anyone else has a product, a value-added product or something to sell, please put in the chat so we can know about it. And if you are in the agricultural space and one day you want to present, please shoot me an email so we can put you on the list. This is our second year doing this. Second year. We started in January of 2022, and we just rolling right along. Next thing you know, we're going to have 300 presenters on here. All sisters talking about what they're doing in the agriculture arena. So I'd like to also take on our calls just like 30 seconds. Ms. Donna, you got a clock for us? We're going to do 1 minute tonight. We're going to do 1 whole minute, 60 seconds. And this is the time for us to just come together, get centered, be grateful and thankful for everything that God has provided and continues to provide to us and for us. And again, it's just for us to all get on one accord. And so let's just begin. You can close your eyes, keep them open. But again, we're just going to take at least 60 seconds, 1 minute, just in case you haven't done it today. This is your time to just be grateful and thankful. And we all get on one vibration. Thank you, Donna. Thank you so much. All right. So, Miss Keisha, you are up next. Hey, Miss Shannon. Glad to see you on the call tonight. Keisha, you know Shannon?
I don't think so.
Shannon's going to present one day. All right. Thank you, Keisha. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Let me share my screen. Benita told me I had 20 minutes to talk about food safety, so I'm going to be as quick as I possibly can.
Oh, yeah, this is another.
So let's get started. Minimize this slideshow.
While she's getting ready, at some point, I'm having this vision that we're just going to have a really big conference and Keisha can have like an hour or 2 hours. One day we're gonna have a conference and bring everybody together. Joyce has put my bill in there. But yeah, we like to keep our calls to 1 hour because you know it's a Monday. And again, I want to announce at 7 o'clock, please feel free to get off, but I'll stay on if anyone has any questions for me. All right, Miss Keisha.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so I'm Keisha Rainey. I work for Carolina Farm Stewardship Association. My job is to teach food safety in North Carolina and South Carolina. I live here in Lexington, South Carolina with my family. I write food safety plans for individuals who are needing them for their fresh produce. I'm the audit support for growers, so I help prepare growers for their audits. When they're going to get GAP certified, it's my job to make sure that they're successful and that they pass. I teach the produce safety rule, and I also help develop new food safety curriculum. So if there's ever any ideas or things that you want to see more in your community around food safety, please reach out. I'm happy to brainstorm some things. CFSA is a small nonprofit organization based in North Carolina. But like I said, we do serve both South and North Carolina growers. It's a $40 a year membership to be a part of our association. So that $40 gets you my technical assistance for free. You call me as many times as you want to get your food safety together. We also have people on staff that help with high tunnels, conservation plans, soil conservation. We have different discounts to our conferences, our events. We do a lot of free workshops, and I'll plug a couple of them at the end of this webinar. And then we also have our listserv where you can advertise what you're doing, if you're needing help on the farm, if you're selling something, or if you just want to connect with people in your area. So like I said, usually when I teach food safety, it's between, I can do it in 4 hours, 6 hours, or 8 hours. But tonight we're just going to hit some really good high points. And if you have any more questions or follow up, please don't hesitate to call or email me. I'm happy to talk through whatever you have going on your farm. So food safety is important because 48 million people get sick, 128,000 people are hospitalized, and 3,000 die. So the last thing you think that's going to happen when you go to eat food is that it's going to make you sick. And the real last thing you think is going to happen is that you're going to possibly be hospitalized and die. We have to be cognizant of our bacteria. So once bacteria is on any type of produce, it's already doubling every 20 minutes. So we have to do our part to protect the people that we feed. I like to put this slide in here as kind of a full circle of what happens when we don't do the right things, when we're feeding our people, when we're feeding ourselves, and we're not taking good food safety precautions. Back in early 2000, the Jensen brothers case, they had a listeria outbreak due to cantaloupe. So as we all know, that cantaloupe has that netting, which it holds all that bacteria and germs in there. And they were also livestock farmers. So they were putting those cantaloupes on back of truck beds where listeria had been. And people were eating that. 125 people were affected over 28 states, 33 deaths. And then they ended up having to pay $150,000 in restitution, 100 hours in community service, and then 6 months at home detention. So that was earlier 2000s. Imagine what it would be like now if you had a food safety recall. We live in a day of social media. So if somebody gets sick from your product, they are going to be very likely to tell a lot of people, right? And so we're not trying to eliminate every risk, but we are trying to mitigate risk and do things in an orderly fashion so we're not doing any kind of cross-contamination. Other bacteria to be mindful of, you have your E. coli, so that's that feces. That happens when you drink or eat water that's contaminated by feces. So this goes back to when you're going out and you're doing that harvest and you see maybe, bird poop has landed on a tomato. We don't want to harvest that, right? Because that feces can affect the entire lot and make somebody sick. That salmonella that lives in the intestinal tract of animals, including birds, is another bacteria that can spread throughout our food systems. Think about a time that you've ever been sick from food. Somewhere in that process, there was a breakdown, and that's where the cross-contamination came from. I always tell all my growers, even if they're not going to go to audit, everybody should have a food safety plan when we're working with fresh produce. It has all of your standard operating procedures, and it lets everybody know how things are done on your farm. I write these for individuals all the time. Bonita sends me people several times a week or a month, which I love, to write them a food safety plan. It has records in there for cleaning, cleaning your bathrooms, cleaning your harvest tools. It has really great risk assessments in there. So the risk assessments help you look at what you're doing and how you can be doing it better. So even if you don't plan to go to audit, I do say that you should get a food safety plan. So there's a system to what you're doing. Even having your cleaning schedule embedded in that is very important. Your water source is extremely important when we're talking about fresh produce. So there's 3 types of water sources. We have our surface water, so that's our rivers, our ponds. Even if you're catching rainwater, the USDA considers that to be surface water. So we want to make sure that we are testing that water at least 3 times a year, and we're only using that water for drip irrigation. We're not drinking that water. We're not using it for hand washing. And if you are, that you have a pump and a filtration system to make sure that water is good and clean. If you have a well on your farm, making sure that that well has a backflow preventer on it so nothing backs up back into the pipes. And we want to make sure we're testing that water 1 time a year. Same thing with your municipal water. You don't have to test this. People do test their own municipal source, but the county does it for you. So all you have to do is go on the website, pull that water test, and it's always going to be a year behind, but they're in charge of your water system. It's very important to know what's in your water, especially if you're washing produce, doing any kind of irrigation, hand washing, and drinking the water. If you are using raw manure or untreated amendments of animal origin, this is perfectly fine to do, but we want to do so responsibly. So let's say you have chickens on your farm and you're kind of letting them hang out in the field, and then you're going to incorporate their feces into the field so you can grow your fresh produce. That's perfectly fine, but we want to be in those parameters. So that means when we have that feces incorporated into the field, we're waiting that 2 weeks to plant. We're keeping a record of what we're doing, and then we're following either the 90 or 120-day rule, which is it's 90 days to harvest the product. You have to wait 90 days to harvest the product if the edible portion of the crop does not come in contact with the ground. So things like your root vegetables, things that are going to grow underground, you could harvest those in 90 days. If the crop is going to break the soil, so let's say that tomato or whatever have you is going to break that soil, you need to wait 120 days to harvest that. So this goes back to crop planning, making sure that we've planned enough time to add that raw manure into our soil, and then we have enough time to wait the 2 weeks and enough time to harvest. And this is only if you're using raw manure untreated amendments. Chemicals, so this is very cut and dry. The label is the law. I remember a time when I was growing up, my grandma would pour a lot of bleach into a big old thing of steaming hot water, and she would just pour until it smelled good. Well, now we can't do that, right? We have to be very cognizant of what we're using and how much. Pouring a whole lot of bleach into very hot water actually messes up the chemical balance of the actual product. So you're not doing any good by using a whole bunch, and you're not doing really good by pouring it in a bunch of hot water. So making sure that we're reading our labels of what they say what the chemical is, making sure that you're using the right amount. Too much of anything can make anybody sick. Making sure that we're wearing protective clothing if we need to. If we're mixing chemicals in a spray bottle, we've labeled that of what it is. And we're keeping our chemical storage locked and secured when we're no longer using it. The reason for that is you don't want anybody who's on your farm trying to help you grab the wrong chemical. You also don't want a disgruntled employee. We've seen this before where employees will go and get a chemical and spray it on the field for whatever reason. And we also just want to make sure everybody's safe. Also, if you're using any kind of pesticides, anything that requires a license, you are having an up-to-date license when you're doing that. And also, of course, keeping records. Traceability is very important when you're selling to the community, to the public. You want to be able to trace your product 1 step forward and 1 step back. The best way to do this is to identify lot codes on your field. So let's say you have 3 fields and you've labeled them 1, 2, and 3. But when you're harvesting your collards to sell to Bonita, you have some kind of lot code on outside of that box that if Bonita calls you with an issue, you can trace it back and you can ask her for that lot code. That lot code may be the field it came out of, what the product is, and when you harvest it, and whoever harvested their initials. So if you put that on your product, and then you also write that, have a record somewhere, either in your food safety plan, or maybe you're keeping it digitally. So that way, if somebody calls you with an issue with the product that you have sold, you have a way to trace that product back and figure out what the issue was. Maybe the issue was we packed it in, the dead of heat, and it had a lot of field heat, and it ruined the quality of the product. It could have been a truck cooler issue, but you want to make sure you have a record. If you didn't write it down, it didn't technically happen. In an event of a recall or an issue, you need to have some kind of documentation when it comes to food safety and traceability. Animals, so whether they're domestic animals, wildlife, your domestic animals, your little furry pets, fine to have, but we don't want them in your field. Remember, we talked about earlier that feces can contaminate your products. If they're using the bathroom in your field, that has an issue to contaminate the product. So we want to make sure they're out of our production areas, they're out of the field. Wildlife, we can't do anything about that. They're pretty unavoidable. We're in their habitat. So, whatever you can do to try to deter them away. It could be, planting a buffer for them to eat, right? So they're not eating your good colors. They're eating something else that you can kind of deter them away. It could be fencing. It could be, loud noisemakers, whatever it is. They're pretty smart. So they're only going to go for, some deterrence for ever so long. And if they're eating your product, you must be making something really good. But you want to make sure we're trying to deter those animals away from our product, and making sure that you're doing that good, quick walk around before you harvest, to make sure you're not harvesting anything with feces on it. If you do a walk around in your field and there is some animal feces on your product, let's mark that off and then harvest everything else around it and then come back to it later. Same with our pest control. We want to make sure we have pest control in place. So, if you have places where you're keeping your harvest containers and your cooler trucks, you want some type of pest deterrent in there, because pests can get anywhere. Making sure that we keep our trash and our areas really nice and neat, because we don't want pests to harbor in there. And we want to make sure we're using live traps when we're trying to capture pests. Stay away from things like mouse traps, because mouse traps introduce bodily fluid, which can introduce contamination. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to pick up a dead mouse and get rid of it. So you want to be using some, better traps. So of course, this box right here, a company comes out and they service it for you. This is a really cheap little sticky tape. All you got to do, they just go in there, they get trapped, and then you get to toss it out. This one's my favorite because it is more expensive, $20 for these tin cats, but the rodent goes in there, you can release it out somewhere in the wild, and then you can wash and sanitize these and use them as many times as you want. So yes, a little bit more expensive for $20 for each of them, but you can reuse them once they're washed and clean. Speaking of cleaning, remember that we need to know the difference between clean and sanitize. So we cannot sanitize any surface that has not been cleaned. In the area of COVID had us out here with all the hand sanitizer in the world, lathering up all the time. The issue with that is nobody was washing their hands. And so the same thing goes for when we're cleaning our surfaces. We have to make sure we're doing that cleaning step with that good potable water, using that mild and food safe detergent, a scrub brush if necessary for your surfaces, because that cleaning process removes that dirt and that debris. When we're sanitizing, we're using an approved food grade product. If you need help trying to find food grade products for your operation, please reach out to me and I can send you some helpful links. Follow the label, because remember, the label is the law. Use the proper concentration. If you're mixing chemicals, make sure you're using the proper test strips and having some and logging what those results are. If we're dealing with allergens, remember we just added sesame to the allergy list back in January. So these are the big 9 allergens to be aware of. So if you're a grower who has chickens and you got the eggs going on, but then you also have your produce fields over here, making sure that when we're doing things out in the field, we're doing things to mitigate that cross-contamination. So when we're out there in the chicken fields, you're walking around, you're picking up the chickens, you're picking up the eggs, you're holding them close to your body, and then you may go over to your colors fields and walk around there with those feces boots, and then picking things up and putting it close to your chest. People have real allergies out here, so Nobody expects to eat collards and have an egg outbreak or an egg allergy or a peanut allergy when they're eating your produce. So, good ways to mitigate this could be, having a wash station for your boots, maybe doing produce first and then walking into your spaces where you may have peanuts or your chickens or eggs or whatever have you. Making sure that your employees know about the cross-contamination, training them right, and keeping these allergens separate. You don't want your peanuts to be on top of your collard box, so making sure that those are clearly labeled and separated. These are some good field and harvest practices. So some do not, if a product has dropped and it's on the ground rolling around, it's rotten produce, we don't want to pick that up. We don't want to affect the rest of the lot. We never want to set our harvest buckets directly on the ground. So having some type of buffer, so that could be a 2-bucket system where you're harvesting one bucket strictly for the ground, the other bucket goes inside. A lot of people will just get different color buckets. So red is for the ground, blue is for harvest. We don't want to eat or drink in the field. There's a time and a place to have breaks, and we don't want that to happen in the field. The reason for that, again, is if I have a peanut allergy and your employee's eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the field, that has now can activate somebody's allergy. We're not laying or sitting in the fields. Some good do's, of course, is to keep that your produce covered during transport so nothing gets inside during transport. We want to harvest commodities when they're ready at their peak. So this again goes back to that crop planning, right? You don't want to put everything in the ground at the same time because you're going to have to harvest at the same time. And when it gets hot outside, it gets even, our window to harvest gets even smaller. So making sure we're harvesting the commodities at their peak. Avoid that wet weather harvest. Water introduces bacteria. You can wash your produce. You don't have to wash your produce. Let me rephrase that. You don't have to wash it if you're going to sell it to somebody else because they're probably going to wash it when they get home. But you always want to wash your produce if you're about to consume it. You want to, like I said, avoid that wet weather harvest. You want to use sharp tools and avoid contact with the ground and harvest often. I have sent many of these links, and so she will share them with you as well. But we have 2 food safety webinars coming up. So we'll be going through the food safety audits, kind of demystifying what people feel, the kind of their fears about food safety audits. And that will be on December 5th. We will do that online, and that will be an 1.5-hour course. And then we have the GAP audit series. We'll go part 1 through 5 over the course of 2 weeks. So I think we do like a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then maybe like a Monday, Wednesday, where we take an 1.5 hours each evening to go through all of the things GAP, all of the things food safety. And it's a really good course because you can do it from home. And with 1 minute and 22 seconds left, I am finished. So thank you for your time today. Here is my direct cell number. If you need anything, if you have questions, if you want to go a little deeper, please call me, send me a text message. And here also is my email address. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very, very much, Miss Keisha. So now is our time for questions. Anyone have any questions for Miss Keisha? I want to reiterate something she said. CFSA is a membership organization, and there are a lot of things. Keisha, discuss again what they get for $40 a year. I heard unlimited phone calls.
Unlimited phone calls for sure. So you get access to our technical assistants. So that's me coming out to your farm, doing a farm visit. That's me writing your food safety plan. That's me being there on the day of audit and getting you through the audit program. But you can also utilize our other teams. So the people who do high tunnels, soil conservation, conservation plans, we have people for that. We have a policy team if you're butting up against any kind of ag laws. And then, of course, access and discounts to all of our events and our workshops. A lot of the workshops we do during the year are usually free. And then, of course, access to our listservs and newsletters.
Okay. talk a little bit about the conference this year and the dates on it.
So we have our conference coming up in November 11th. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Second week of
November 10th through the 13th. So we have our conference in Durham. So Saturday and Sunday we spend doing workshops. So we have about 75 workshops between those 2 days that people can come to. And then on Monday we do 10 on-farm intensives this year, where you can actually go on somebody's farm and watch some of these practices and workshops. And so that registration is currently open right now. And people have signed up, and it is looking like we're going to have a full show this year. So that's coming up in November.
Okay. When you get a chance, can you put that link in the chat?
Absolutely.
She mentioned something that, I think, especially our mothers and grandmothers, that bleach. Talk a little bit about bleach, but before you do that, I want to show you all what I have. This is go this way. This is some high peroxide, which is food grade. And my medical doctor, Dr. Michelle Rojas, suggested that I use this, to make sure when I bring my fresh fruits and vegetables home to clean it, because I had contracted a parasite called H. pylori. Some of you may have heard it. And she says, Benita, it's you can get it. She said, you probably got it from just being out in your garden and just plucking something and eating it. She said, I know you're not going to stop, but can you at least do this? So I bought this, and I, when I get home, I wash my produce again and again, even if it's organic, because, little things, you just can't see it. But it's, it didn't harm me, but I did have to take a round of antibiotics, which I hated, but I took them. And I'm doing good.
If you go look at your bleach right now that you use in your house that you may be using in your kitchen, I encourage you to turn it around and see if it's good for food contact and food contact surfaces, and for any kind of wash water, because they've changed the recipe of bleach so much that germicidal bleach is good, but like not regular bleach is good, or it may have a rinse step. So there's all these different things. And a lot of those germicidal bleaches you can find at like your big box stores like Sam's or Lowe's or stuff like that. So yeah, it's just really reading those labels and finding those food grade products.
Again, our mamas and grandmamas and us too love some bleach. It'll kick you out the house, but we love bleach.
If you don't smell it, you don't think it's working, right?
Yep, that's it. So Keisha, there's a question out here for you that Ethel wants to know. Do you do community outreach such as health fairs?
So we don't do health fairs, but I am connected with NC Agri-Medicine, who does do health fairs in North and South Carolina. I know those will start back up in the spring, and sometimes we do partner up to kind of do stuff together. So I can definitely connect you with them as for their newsletter to kind of get on their radars when they start doing those things. But we definitely have partners in that area.
Okay.
Keisha, this is Vivian, and I have a question. So my question is, in my backyard, I have a couple of raised beds, and sometime I will go to like the Tractor Supply store and use the raw manure. So does the 90 days, 120 days still apply to the raised beds, as well as if you had an open garden?
So usually if you're getting it from Tractor Supply, they've done something to kind of sustain it. So I encourage you to read the back of your label, but this rule really only applies to, let's say, if you yourself had your chickens out there and they were, using the bathroom or had their feces and you were incorporating it. But usually if you get it from some place like Tractor Supply, you're pretty much in good shape, because they add some additives to that to kind of skirt that rule a little bit. But I would definitely encourage you to read the back of the label as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Benita, I think someone wants to know, where did you purchase your food grade? Or maybe both of you can answer, where can you purchase food grade food cleaners or
I ordered mine off of Amazon. I ordered this off of Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah, and I specifically mean hydrogen peroxide. That's what I need. You got that off of Amazon?
This one is the
Not
food grade one.
not a
Yes.
food. Yeah,
Oh,
food
not
grade
food grade.
one.
You can go to Walmart or
No,
any
I
drugstore.
want food. I need
Well,
food
okay.
grade.
So, well, I purchased this one off of Amazon. That said food grade.
Mhm. A lot of growers will do that. And I did drop our membership in the chat if anybody wants to look more into that, and our conference into the chat.
Hi,
Hi, Jenna.
Benita. I want to ask a question. This is Annette Rich. I was told, I should have looked it up, but vinegar, like when you wash your salads, you can wash them in vinegar, and that would get rid of some of the E. coli or the whatever is left on them. Is that a good process to use, or?
I mean, I've
You
heard
know-
people, yeah, go ahead, Benita.
No, you go, you go.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna say
I've
or
heard-
salt.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people use a lot of things with that because of the acid. Even lemon juice is one of those other things that can help. Like I said, if you're eating it from human consumption for your own consumption and you're using vinegar, that's not a bad thing to do. Still, of course, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to use too much because you kind of deteriorate the product and the quality of the product. But like I always tell people too, like if you just get a bottle of something that you want to pour in your wash water, like germicidal bleach, you're only using a very small amount of that to kind of kill any of those microorganisms on there. And then it also lasts you for a while because you're not using as much. But vinegar is not a bad thing to use if you already have it. And yeah, that's not an issue.
And someone said salt works as well.
I'm not familiar with salt.
Well, that's what I know my grandmothers, both of my grandmothers, and me too, use.
Yes.
I'll, make a big, fill my sink up with warm water, and I'll put some salt in it, and I'll do one good rinse with it. So yeah, but that's coming from, my grandmama and mom. I don't know how much science it is behind it, but it has kept me safe. So I think doing something is better than, not doing anything at all. If you don't have the food grade, then of course do the vinegar or the lemon juice. And yes, again, the salt part, I did that. I do that because that's what I saw growing up. It might be good. I know it's better than doing nothing at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did too. So I think that's quite common to use the salt.
To clean, yeah.
So there's a
Okay.
question here, is that conference with the Ida Wallace of the collards?
Will Ida Wallace be at the conference? Do you know she was there last year, Keisha? Do you know if she'll be there again this year with the collard?
Not sure. I do know we're doing a food exchange, so we're working with a lot of growers right now because she did the collard green tasting, I believe, last year. So
Mhm.
we haven't finished lining up all of those growers. We're almost done with the planning piece, but yeah, I know she was definitely there last year. And I think last year we did 750 attendees over the weekend.
Okay. I was looking there's going to be the original Collard Green Festival. It's going to be in Atlanta, the first weekend in October, and I was looking for it. The sister who started it, I think over 20 years ago in Oakland, it's in Atlanta now. If I find it before this is over, I'll put the flyer. But there will be a Collard Green Festival in Atlanta. The first weekend in October. Again, when I find the flyer, because I can send it out to everyone. But it's time. Everybody got the colors
Yeah.
planted.
I got a question. How you doing,
Okay.
Keisha? There are 3 farmers markets in South Carolina. And when we get there to purchase, is it too late to be aware of anything or just purchase because you think those growers there who has a sales tax license? What do you think we should be doing as we go through the different farmers market? What should we be looking for?
So, I mean, of course, we buy with our eyes, right? So we want to buy the best looking product. That's really important. And honestly, farmers markets are no different than when we're kind of in the country and we're going to that roadside market in front of somebody's house. So basically, doing what you already do when you buy fresh produce, buying with your eyes, buying that good quality, making sure you're taking it home, you're washing it and you're cleaning it yourself. There are a lot of people out there who will wash before. They'll say, "Oh, it's been pre-washed," but we want to make sure that we have cleaned it. Farmers markets, they are not regulated and not GAP certified. So just know that anytime you buy fresh produce from any individual that's not certified, you could run some risk, but I wouldn't discount them by any means, right? Because they're trying to feed everybody too with their fresh produce. So just making sure that, if it's a reputable source, somebody you trust, or, you're looking at their product, kind of looking at their processes. If they kind of got their produce all kind of laid and scattered in all kind of ways, that may not be your people, right? But, that neat product, and then just taking it home and doing that wash step, really and truly. And now everybody seems to have a Facebook page. So, you can always get on there and see what people are saying in the comments, if you want to take it a deep further. But I don't think there's any harm from buying from farmers markets.
I found this collard, see if I can get it in the chat. Any more questions while I'm trying to do
And
this?
Keisha, I think Ethel wanted to get that contact for the NS, the one that you said would possibly do health fairs.
Which one?
When she asked about the health fairs, and you said there
Oh,
was another group.
agro-medicine. Yes.
Right.
I'll drop that in the chat too. And they're in North Carolina, but they go to both states.
Try to.
There you go.
Okay, I'm not being successful here. Okay. I'm gonna have to send it out, but it says Collard Greens Cultural Festival, Saturday, October 7th. The Promised Land at Lake Sherrill, 4540 Lee Road, Snellville, Georgia. I don't know. Ms. Donna, can you help me? How can I try to put this in the chat? Do you know? I tried emailing it to myself. You're on mute, Donna.
You got that from a website, right?
No, let me see if they have a website. No, this was sent to me from someone.
Okay, download it.
Well, there's a website. Thank you. Collard Greens
Okay.
culturalfestival.com. I'm gonna put it in chat right now.
I was gonna do it. Collard
Okay.
Greens Cultural
Festival.com.
Karen put it in the chat.
Thank you. Okay, we got any more questions for Keisha? This is the 14th annual. Thought it was 20, it's 14. No, 25th year and 14th original. There's something 25 years here. And it's also in conjunction with the Black Sustainability Summit. I'll put that in the chat too. But there's a Black Sustainability Summit that's happening, and they're going to combine these two festivals. The festival and the summit is going to be combined. I have got to clear my calendar to get there. Any more questions for Keisha before I start making the announcements? Well, thank you, Miss Keisha.
You're welcome. Thank y'all.
I appreciate so much you coming tonight, and thank you all for coming and listening. And this is like one of the most important topics, the safety of our food. And, we just, I think, sometimes take it for granted because we do live in a wonderful country that, do have rules and And we have, fortunately, we're grateful for, for the most part, fresh, clean water. And so we're able to wash our fresh fruits and vegetables. I used to travel and do humanitarian missions. And in other countries, the biggest thing was that they didn't have clean drinking water, clean water. So, it's always a cycle when you don't have clean water to wash your food, even your body, because, the skin is the largest organ. We need good, clean water for that also. So thank you, Keisha, for raising our awareness, attention, and vibration about food safety. And if it's anyone on here that needs a food safety plan, please call Keisha. If you want me to purchase food from you, you must have a food safety plan. If you don't, then she will provide one for you at no cost. So that's very, very, very important. So thank you so much, Keisha. Again, any more questions for Keisha before I go into our monthly announcements? Okay.
Keisha, just wanted to make sure those other links were for later, the ones on
So
discrimination.
can you put them in now? Keisha, can you put those links in?
For the workshops?
Yes, please.
I'll do it right now.
And the ones on discrimination, that's different from
I'm gonna put, can you put in www.blackfarmers.org? I'm gonna talk about that in a second. I know, don't feel like I'm doing information overload, ladies, but I just want you all to have the information, write it down. We have to, I want you to know and be aware of all the things that are going on. I'm putting another conference. Do y'all see the Opportunity Event Conference, Donna? I don't know if it went to everyone.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. So we have the Collard Green Festival. We have the Opportunity Conference that's in Myrtle Beach with Ken Harvin's group. They do a lot of work in the farming space, have provided thousands and thousands of dollars for community gardens. And the National Black Farmers Association, Donna just put in the chat, blackfarmers.org. They are having it says this is a must-attend meeting. In South Carolina, the dates are October 20th. And when you go on blackfarmers.org, you'll see these dates. In Conway, October 20th, Florence, October 21st, Columbia, October 22nd. I will be sending the locations. They don't have the locations yet when they come to South Carolina, but this is for farmers, Black farmers and other farmers of color that have felt any type of form of discrimination. And you can apply for up to $500,000. The deadline is October 31st. The deadline is October 31st. It hasn't been out more than 3 months. I don't know why the government has such a short window period. Well,
you know why.
I'm gonna keep it moving. I thought about what I just said. But we got to be nimble. We got to be quick. Anyone that you know, they can go on this site and get more information, blackfarmers.org, to get the word out. The USDA or the government, they contracted 3 organizations that don't have a lot of connection with these communities that they want to get these applications from. So the Black Farmers, National Black Farmers Group stepped up and said, we got to get this information out because after October 31st, that's it. And this isn't, they had the billions of dollars designated to Black farmers, but there was a block by some other farmers for this money. So they had to go back to the drawing board and redo it. So now it doesn't say the discrimination or the lawsuit doesn't just say Black farmers. It really says farmers of color or anyone who feels like they've been discriminated against. So please go on that site, get the information. Again, right now, all I have is that they'll be in South Carolina, October 20th in Conway, 21st in Florence, and 22nd in Columbia. I know the South Carolina Commission for Minority Affairs is helping them to coordinate the one in Columbia. And when they give me that location, I will most certainly put it, send an email about it. And I think we're going to have another, we might have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're going to have another call before they come to Columbia. So I'll have more information at that time.
Benita, can I ask the question?
Yes, yes.
So if my aunt is running my grandfather's farm.
Wait a minute, who's talking? I can't see.
I'm sorry, Annette Rich. I'm sorry.
Hey, Annette.
Hi. So if my aunt is running my grandfather's farm, he's passed. Can she, but she's doing it on a smaller scale, but she still carries produce to the farmer's market and sells it. So can she apply for this?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Apply. If you feel anything, apply. Have a discussion with them. Apply, apply, apply.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I put in the conference about SCASIT, LFPA, Local Food Purchase Agreement Program. I am one of the aggregators, and what that means is if you sell produce or if you have a value-added product, I can purchase from you. Please, if you know of any farmers that are not participating in this program, this is another way for us to get money into the hands of farmers. That's what this program is about, and it's for to get money in the hands of farmers. The average farmer makes about $10,000 in South Carolina, but with this program, they can make much more. We can buy everything that they grow. So please, huh?
It's Davon. He's gonna let them know Pick 42 is out there too. We can buy as well.
Pick 42 is in Marion County. I got that right?
Yes.
Marion County. So Bonita Global, Pick 42, the Gullah Farmers Co-op, and the South Carolina Black Farmers Coalition. There are 13 aggregators. Those are the 4 that I can know right off the top of my head. We're in different parts of the state. So there is no reason why a farmer in South Carolina, a Black farmer in South Carolina, should not be getting paid over the next, how much more we got? 2025, I think it is. Please, 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 please tell the farmers that this program is available. Now, we do have some that just don't want to participate, and we understand. This is a voluntary program, but it has been extremely helpful to our farmers. And we know that, some of us have special relationships and they trust us, and we don't pay them wholesale, we pay them retail. This is a chance again to get paid for your craft, for their craft. It's work. It's rewarding, but it's work. And this program is available. So please, if you know of any farmers, again, you have to, if you're working with me and with PIC and the other one, you need to have a food safety plan in place. And we come to visit your farm, have a food safety plan. For me, I have to have a W-9, and then we're doing business. Pharmacist, new class will start March 2024. November and December, we'll have meetings specifically just for those who are interested. January and February, we'll have live in-person orientation. This Saturday, we are taking some kids to a farm. We're leaving at 8. I had a vision of taking 25 to 30 kids. Now we're up to 60. But we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good time. I'm trying to get at least 60 adults. I want 2 eyes on each child. Because they're gonna be fishing, horseback riding, just having a grand time, but I want all eyes on these children. Do not let them out of my sight. So, you know, we always have a good time, and they be worn out by the time we bring them back home. And it is a Black-owned farm in Dorchester County, Saxmore Farm. We'll be taking the kids there. And I have already visited the farm, and the gentleman who is the owner, well, it's the family owned, but the father, I think he 80, 81. Carmen, can you help me? Was he 81? Yeah, because we were trying to hook him up with our grandmama who's 96. Was it 81?
I
know.
don't remember.
He's 81. Peter?
Yeah, me and Carmen, I was trying to play matchmaking.
Peter, he's 81.
He's 81. Okay. Listen, he's 81, but just as mobile as 30, 40, 50-year-olds. And we were so amazed. He had everything on that farm. He said the only reason he goes to the grocery store is to buy meat. That's it. So we saw Asian pears. You name it, we saw it. We saw it on this farm. We were just so amazed and just so blessed by that. Sugar cane, yes. Oh my goodness. So we're taking the kids there this week. If anybody want to go, please. We need all eyes on these kids. Please come. I pay. Now, please come and help us. But again, we always have a good time. So that's this Saturday. And a last announcement on Monday, the 25th September, at the Catherine Belfield Center. We're going to have our last talk with the doctor. Dr. Rojas has been coming out for several months, and we're just planting seeds for good health, changing the health narrative of 29203, raising the consciousness again of health in our communities. And I've been so pleased with having a lot of men come. And now they're excited. And, you know, it's kind of hard to get Black men to come talk about health, to come and listen to go to the doctor, period. But to come and listen. But so I'm really proud to say we've had a lot of brothers to come out. They've taken things to the next step. We've had 2 counselors to come out to talk about trauma in the Black community. And it has just been successful. So on the 25th will be our last one for this year. I'm going to also have 2 other doctors. There's going to be one young lady who's an acupuncturist. So I go to the acupuncture. I have acupuncture done. And because I'm all about, I like to do as much preventative and natural modalities as possible. And I don't tell people to do anything that I haven't done, I haven't tried. And I know for a fact that acupuncture has helped one of my friends who had severe migraines. And I was having some issues with a pinched nerve. And so I just go to her now so I can get some good sleep. At least good 15 minutes, I am out. But she's going to be there, young lady, late 20s, early 30s. And another young lady who's a physician's assistant. She's going to be there. So come on out if you're available. Friday, Monday the 25th at 5:30. And you know me, I'm going to have something. Y'all have to come and see the beautiful fruit that I'll have for everyone to take home and enjoy. And yeah, thank you, Donna, for putting that in there. So, okay, we're at 7:59. It's time for us to say good night. Anyone has anything that they want to announce, anything on your heart, anything you want to say? I would love to see y'all there on the 25th. I would love even more to see you on the 23rd to go to this farm with us. But, and again, when we get off this call, if you want to stay on, I'm on to answer any questions, to have conversations about anything you want to talk about. All right. Anything? All hearts and minds clear? Hey, Miss Cynthia. Good to see you tonight.
Hi. I just put Bonita in the chat earlier today at 12 to 2. I was on a census.gov data workshop. And they went through exactly how you use the census, what you need to use the census for, where you can break it down and filter it to many different categories. So I put in the chat. You can sign up for another workshop, and she's going to download the 42 slides she went over. But it was excellent. Even though I taught probability statistics, I wanted to see exactly how she then break it down, this data, and it was excellent. So sign up for those workshops.
Yeah.
There is the webpage, and it's about the census and the American the what do they call it? The ACS, the American Community Survey that's taken every 5 years between the census, and it breaks down everything from the zip codes to areas that's not even have a zip code. There's some buildings that don't have a zip code, and the workshop that they went over the filters, the 6 topics within each state that the census breaks down: business and economy, employment, government, health, income and poverty, race, and electricity. But I'm just saying, if you didn't answer the census, you're one of the people that didn't get any on there. And I'm speaking out right now because the farmers that had a gate and it was stopped did not get into the numbers into the census. So there's a lot of things, even though you can use the census numbers and quote census, whatever year you're looking at, to get a grant or apply for money because your business plan says this or that. But those workshops are very important because the data collected is not necessarily all the data, especially if you on your farm and nobody came down, enumerated, and knock on your door or give you the census. You have a P.O. box, which also I have. Nobody came and collected information. Check out these workshops where you can ask questions and get involved before 2030 and find out why they're not putting your information on the census, because it's very important that farms, agriculture, all of that is also on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's extremely important, y'all, that we complete the census, all of them. There are census specifically for farmers. That's how they allocate resources. And I don't want the government to know my business. Well, if you got a cell phone, I promise you, the government knows your business. I guarantee you. They know you're here. They know you're in America. They know you're in this world. If you got a cell phone. Even if you don't, they still know you're here. But we have to make sure that we are accounted for. I am just so thankful for the census. I'm able to look back and find a lot of my ancestors. So we want our people to find us 300 years, 400 years from now. So let's have many, many good reasons why we want to complete that census. Thank you, Ruth.
Well, the other thing is about this redistricting. This redistricting, we already blew it in a way. The congressmen have voted, and you know who's taking over, and they've redistricted a whole lot of areas where minorities, blacks, or women cannot be elected. So we should have answered the census, but we didn't.
Okay, well, we're gonna take it back over, Ms. Ruth. All right, someone else call my name. I didn't.
Yes, Miss Bonita, this Saturday with the children. What
okay,
city?
who's talking? Who's talking? I can't see.
Belva, Marlon.
Hey, Belva. Okay, I see you, Belva. I see a lot of faces here. I see 33 faces. Okay, Belva.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask you again about the meetup for this Saturday to take the children to the farm. What city and state will that be? And where will you all, what time will you be?
We're leaving from Columbia. Gable Oaks Community at 8 o'clock. The Gable Oaks Community, it's an apartment complex called Gable Oaks.
Okay.
We're gonna meet there at 8 o'clock, and we are driving to Dorchester, which is about an hour and maybe 10 minutes from here. Okay. We're going to Dorchester.
Is it Dorchester, South Carolina?
Yes, Saxmore, SAXMOR Farm.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So thank y'all, everyone. Donna, we can stop the recording.